Hello, my American Studies 140 students. This is Professor Donald Earl Collins, or at least soon to be American Studies 140 students. DC Life Inside the Monument course. This is Professor Donald Earl Collins coming to you a few weeks before the start of the course to basically reassure you about what we're going to be doing in this course. Normally, I don't give spiels about what the course is about and what we're going to do and all these other things, obviously, till the first day. But with this change in status from blended, mostly online, but you being on campus, especially if you're freshmen or sophomores in some cases, to strictly virtual for the fall, the university's asked us to talk to our students, and I want to talk to you anyway. So I'm just going to go over a few things. First of all, you know, it is disappointing, truly is, that we will not be able to meet face to face this fall. That you will not be able to mingle with your classmates, meet people, especially if you're a freshman, meet people face to face, get to know them, form new friendships, some of which might last your entire adult lives, as the case may be, those sorts of things. That's disappointing. But in light of the fact that we have a pandemic where thousands of people are dying, 1,000+ people are dying every day right now, where 70+ thousand people are becoming infected pretty much every day, it doesn't make sense for us to be on campus this fall. So there's that. So I'm going to move on and talk about the course itself and what to expect and why, and to reassure you that this course should still work for you. Um, First of all, now I'll tell you this again for the very first day. This course has got a misname to it. For those of you who do not know, the course's full title is Washington, D.C. Life Inside of a Monument, which gives the impression that you're just learning about official Washington, D.C., about the National Mall, about the Smithsonian buildings, Lincoln Memorial, the Washington Monument, the Grant Memorial, the Washington Capitol, the White House, those sorts of things. That's part of the course, but the course really is about the history and culture of Washington, D.C., from a sociological, cultural, anthropological, historical, and a variety of other perspectives. And that means it's about ordinary people. It's not just about people who work on K Street with think tanks and lobbying groups, or about the nonprofits in DuPont Circle and in Adams Morgan and Columbia Heights doing work that's both on the local level and the national level. It's about the whole city, which means part of what we're doing is a small part of what we're doing is describing, well, why do we have so many monuments? Why is National Mall set up the way it is? Why was this site picked to build the White House and the Capitol and all that? That's part of the course, but that's probably 5 to 10% of the course. Most of the course really is about the people who live here, who were born here, or who've moved here, who've gentrified here, who've built lives and careers and things here, on a small scale. So ordinary people. And since this city is 47% African American, right? And the majority of people who live in the city are people of color. That means we end up talking about race and racism. That means we talk about the development of immigrant communities and immigrant culture in DC. We talk about black culture in DC. We talk about whites in DC. So race and immigration status and gender to some extent and class divides along haves and have-nots and other sorts of demographic variables are a big part of the course, both from a historical standpoint, but also in terms of contemporary issues in DC. That's the course in a nutshell. Um, but with this course being online, the thing that I normally do to get you warmed up to the idea that this course is about much more than a monument is to have you do things like draw a map of DC, talk about what you do know about DC, what you're what you're hoping to learn more about in light of the fact that we are doing all these different things, those sorts of things. That would be part of what we would do. We're not going to be doing all of that, obviously. So what are we doing different that's online? Why should you be reassured? For one thing, I this is not my only academic hat. I also teach at University of Maryland Global Campus, formerly known as University of Maryland University College. I've taught something like 63 60, somewhere between 60 and 65 courses with them over the last 13 years almost. And more than half of those courses have been online. Almost something like 80% of those courses have been either online or hybrid. So I have a ton of experience teaching online courses, teaching hybrid courses, creating materials for courses specifically geared to students who are not going to be on campus, whom I will never formally meet during the course of the actual months that they're in my courses and in my classes. So, and I've already anticipated this prospect of American Studies 140, so you already have video lecture summaries for all the weeks in the course except for one, and you have lecture notes that are in PowerPoint for all the weeks of course except for one. I have 1 week to do on go-go music and punk music and those two music scenes in DC since the 1970s. I'd still need to do that. That's probably about 3 hours worth of work for me. So other than that, that's set. Your readings for the course are set. You can download those readings as ebooks from the library, both of them. So they're free. All the other readings for the course I've created PDFs for, so I'll be transferring those to the Blackboard platform so that you can have them in the course. But by the time the course starts, officially starts on August the 26th. So you'll have that. You'll have 3 reflections to do, and these are personal reflections. You want to exhibit some knowledge that you've picked up about DC. You might have to do some citations if you're actually quoting something directly or paraphrasing something. But for the most part, these are personal reflections. You'll do one at the beginning of the semester, one in the middle of the semester, one in the semester reflecting back on what you know, what you don't know regarding DC, what you've learned over the course of the semester. You'll have 2 papers to do, covering 2 books, one dealing with the intersection between race, gender, and class regarding black women in DC. That'll be toward the middle of the semester. And then a few weeks later, you have a paper looking at gentrification and food geographies in DC about race and class and geographic divides that exist within the 8 wards that make up DC and have so for the last century or so. So there's that. But you'll also have a half semester long group or individual project to put together a video presentation for, since you obviously will not be doing it in person. You can work with, the most people you can have in your group is 2. So you want to work with someone. If you want to work with someone, and you feel like this person might be good for you to work with, you can work with someone on that project. There's a lot more detail in the syllabus around that. We'll talk more about that as the semester starts. But that's really the second half of the semester. That's most of what you'll be doing the second half of the semester. You'll have 1 paper to do, and then that. In the first half of the semester, you'll have another paper and 2 reflections. That's the course in a nutshell. It's set up in a way so that you don't have too much reading any particular week. It's set up in a way so that you have more than enough time to work through all of these different things that you want to do. So that I want you to do. In terms of grading, I'm setting up with the idea that you will start with A's and A minuses in the course, right? That with effort and ability and getting your stuff done in a timely fashion, I will be very flexible with all due dates. By the way, you will not, I'm not going to be strict on this. If you need more time, ask for it. If it starts becoming a habit, I will definitely warn you that might lower your grade. You'll have a rubric to follow in terms of writing guidelines, but for the most part, most students who have taken this course with me have earned A's and A minuses in this course, and I expect nothing less from the rest of you. However, if you don't turn in your assignments on time, or if you don't turn them in at all, if you consistently have issues in terms of not showing up for stuff without an excuse, meaning that there isn't a Wi-Fi excuse, or you don't have Wi-Fi access or you don't have a computer, those kinds of issues, that's one thing. But if it's just because you don't feel like showing up week after week, that's going to be an issue as well. That will lower your grade too. And to some extent, I have to take into account people's writing abilities and other things, and that might make the difference between an A or an A minus, and in some cases maybe even a B plus. But for the most part, I anticipate A's and A minuses in this class. So put forth the effort, do the work, talk to me when you've got issues, be proactive, be self-disciplined and motivated, and stay on top of your assignments from and the readings from week 1 and 2. We're done with the course, and you will get the grade that I'm talking about, an A or an A minus. Less if you're less able to do so, and there aren't really any extenuating circumstances around it. Other than that, I just want you to know that I'm looking forward to this, even though it is online, even though I will not physically meet any of you this semester. I'm looking forward to this. I'm prepared for it, and I hope that you get yourself in gear and prepared for this as well. Hope to see you in 3 weeks, virtually, anyway.